r/ProRevenge. Harass my daughter on Minecraft. You can't hide from me. Posted by user Dr. Rave Ninja. So, my daughter, who was about 8 at the time, was really into Minecraft, as most kids are these days. Also desperately wanting to join the YouTube/Let's Play culture, I had installed some screen recording software that would let her make videos of the games she was playing so she could later upload them to YouTube. Anyways, one day I'm minding my own business when I hear her quietly sniffling over on the computer. I asked her what was wrong, but she didn't want to tell me, so I let it go, but decided to keep an eye on her. A few minutes later I discovered what was happening. Someone was harassing not only her, but also all the other kids playing on whatever server she was on. This kid, we'll call him Little Shithead, or LS, was saying shit about how he was going to rape my 8-year-old daughter. She told him how old she was, hoping he would stop, how he was going to hack into her IP and steal all her info, swearing profusely. Remember, this is a game for kids, etc., etc. By this time I had gotten my fiancée involved, and she was also obviously quite upset at what a little shit this kid was being. We realized that our daughter had been recording the entire incident, and a plan began to form. I started by googling LS's username. There were several hits immediately, the most interesting of which involved a page where he was publicly applying to be a mod for a server on Minecraft. I was able to learn a lot about this little POS. He claimed to be 15, likes hockey, used to live in Toronto, but now lives in Florida. But the bombshell was easily his Skype contact info. It was literally first name dot last name. I know your name now, you little shit. So I head over to Facebook and search for the name. Nothing. On a hunch I searched for just the last name, while narrowing my results to only the state of Florida. Several dozen hits. So I have to start combing through each one, until I find what I was looking for, a middle-aged man with the same last name, whose profile indicates he was born in Toronto and now lives in Florida. I found your dad, you little shit. So I sent him a message on Facebook, asking if he had a son named, first name, who goes by his username on Minecraft. Dad confirmed I had the right guy. So my wife begins telling the dad everything that LS was saying to my daughter, and we sent him the recorded video as proof. Radio silence for a few days. Then we got the message back. LS had his computer taken away from him for the entire summer, and had also been lying about his age. He was only 11, I think. His parents were effing livid with him, and he surely hated the next few months of his life. No one F's with my daughter. Edit, spelling. Edit 2, holy shit. Someone gave me gold for this. Thanks. This has to be the first post I've made that's blown up on me. Thanks everyone. Edit 3, front page of my alt tab. Maybe I'm too new to Reddit and that's not a big deal, but it's still super cool. Also, I'd like to point out that while I understand that Minecraft isn't just for kids, there are some serious hardcore Minecrafters out there. I can tell you that probably the biggest demographic is on the younger side. I know that people of all ages play all games, but I feel like Minecraft is one that people can reasonably expect to be rather civil. Neighbor sued me after harassing my dog for months, lost horribly. Posted by user DeadDrone999. Several commenters telling me that you guys would enjoy this story. About 6 or 7 months ago, my neighbor got a drone. I don't mind people having hobbies, but for some reason he insisted on flying like the biggest jerk possible. He would hover in front of other houses and windows, try to race cars going down the road, and worst of all, he had a habit of flying his drone in my fenced backyard, buzzing over my dog, diving low just over my dog's head before circling around to do it again. My dog isn't small, he's about 70 pounds and a Malamute, but the drone terrified him, and I was worried what would happen if it hit him. I asked my neighbor several times to please not fly in my yard and explained that it was scaring my dog. He basically told me to get lost and laughed in my face. When it still continued, I called the police. Unfortunately, there wasn't much they could do other than ask him to please not fly over my house/property. Finally, in late December it happened. My dog got tired of his shit and managed to catch the drone right as it was diving towards him. He shredded the drone. The thing was just a jumbled mess of wires and plastic. Neighbor was pissed. He stormed over to my house swearing and threatening me, which I ignored. A week later, I got summoned to small claims court. He wanted $900 for the cost of his drone and an additional $300 for supposedly denying him access to his property. The drone sat in my yard for a couple hours before it was retrieved. If that, he could have killed my dog. I don't have kids or a girlfriend. I just have my dog, who is my best friend for the past 7 years. That dog has moved with me 3 times. Was the when I graduated college, saw me buy my first house and my first new car. I love my dog. Went to legal advice, got some great help from them. Turns out, him suing me was the best thing to ever happen. When we got to small claims court, the judge basically laughed away his claims that I had intentionally trained my dog to attack his drone. But little did he know I was prepared. I had dozens of photos of my yard showing it was impossible for him to accidentally fly that low to my dog, videos of him harassing my dog in the past, and I had saved all my medical bills from taking my dog to the vet. $700 for an x-ray. Check. Another $250 to sedate him during. Why not? Don't want him being uncomfortable. Full dental exam with tooth cleaning/repair. $400. Then there was the cost of anti-anxiety medication and a secondary checkup, wet food for a week in case his teeth were hurt, and extra just for good measure. In the end, the asshole ended up owing me almost $2,000, and now is being investigated by the Federal Aviation Administration for not having a registered drone and violating several regulations concerning drone flight, too near an airport, too close to other people, out of sight of operator and way above the maximum altitude. Enjoy never being allowed to fly drones again, Dick. While we're on the subject of homeowners associations, here's the story of how my parents' HOA tried to use a 40-year-old rule to stop them from repairing hurricane damage and got the shaft for their trouble. Posted by user Seth Cushus. A few months back, as you all may remember, Florida got pretty beaten up by a couple of hurricanes. My folks live down there, and while none of the damage that they sustained was life-alteringly horrible or home-destroying, homeowners insurance kicked in and they had some water damage through the roof. They also needed a new one because of all of the shingles that had come off and debris that had punctured it. My folks looked through roofing options and determined that a metal roof would be a great option to reduce damage/maintenance on their home. Plus, it would serve as a more energy-efficient option with passive solar collection and fewer thermal losses in the summer/winter. It's more expensive, but my dad was basically our/personal finance incarnate while I was growing up. He's in his 60s and has finally concluded that he has FU money so long as that community is concerned, so the roof was a good investment. It looked like a win-win-win with that roof. Then they reviewed the HOA and saw that, as of 1989, metal roofs are prohibited in the neighborhood, subject to fines and mandatory removal. Reviewing the bylaw further showed that it was clearly referring to older, crappier tin roofs, not a proper metal one like today's market provides, which looks great and has all of those other benefits. My folks wanted to play by the rules, though, and called up the HOA to explain the situation. HOA was friendly and said that they would be looking into that by law, and that my folks weren't the only ones who requested that they be allowed to have a metal roof. My parents couldn't get a roofing contractor in for a few months anyway, too much demand since everyone else's roof got wrecked, so they waited a few weeks and got nothing new out of the HOA. Tried again a few weeks later. Nothing. After 2 months of this, they said F it and started construction on a metal roof. Popular opinion in the neighborhood was on their side, and the roof was covered with a tarp that wouldn't last forever. The new roof got installed over the course of a few days, and then we found out the HOA's shittiness. The neighborhood has a nice brick sign out front that says, "Welcome to neighborhood name." It's very classy, very nice, and was very damaged in a hurricane. The HOA was strapped for money due to other repairs and dues, and some prick had the bright idea to impose as many fines as they could on the neighborhood to pay for these repairs, starting with my folks. They served my folks with a letter claiming that they were in violation of the HOA and demanded a $25,000 fine and that they remove it. which is, of course, absurd. My poor mother is very much a play-by-the-rules sort, and she was worried sick. Dad's ex-Navy and a contract negotiator. He essentially checked his 60-year-old knuckles and said, "Oh, you little shits wanna play, do you?" So they set about researching and making some calls. Poor mom kept waking up at 1 a.m. unable to sleep, and I felt terrible for her as she went through this. But then, they had a breakthrough. A few weeks after being served, I'm fuzzy on the timeline since I don't live in Florida, it may have been less, there was essentially a burn-them at the stake meeting of the HOA, where my parents could defend themselves for an absurdly short amount of time and the HOA could rip into them for daring to defy their wrath. So my mom, because she's more social and has a better temper than dad, comes up to speak and lets the HOA know that they can't do this. HOA smirks and says that they sure can. They have a 40-year-old statute saying that they can. Mom says, "You do. But I have state law on my side, which supersedes your statute." Turns out, there's a law in Florida stating that an HOA, or really any regulation, cannot be used to prevent an economy-friendly improvement from taking place on anyone's private property. And wouldn't you know it, the passive solar of the metal roof counts as an economy-friendly improvement. Turns out, the roofing contractors have dealt with similar stuff before. When Dad mentioned what was going on to them, the contracting officer pulled out a few letters of accreditation and a few past cases where the court had determined that their product was economy-friendly and forced the HOA to pay all legal fees. My mom produced all of this for the shitty HOA, who had to admit that this was in fact ironclad. Strapped for money as they were, they couldn't afford to pay a lawyer. HOA head growls, "Is that all?" Mom turns up the sweetness to 11. "No. I see in the bylaws that we can vote to impeach board members at any HOA meeting and to elect their replacements. I move to impeach all of you. I nominate my husband," and she rattles off a list of names. HOA is stunned. While Dad looked into the legal, Mom looked into the new neighborhood. Popular opinion was on their side, and the hearing was public for the neighborhood. Mom convinced a majority of the homeowners to attend and remove the board for their crappy policy. With that, my parents are now on the all-new board, and Dad is putting his contract negotiation skills and craftsmanship to work repairing the front entrance. And metal roofs are now allowed by the all-new HOA. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like and comment your thoughts. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing as well.